Joining me now is one of the moderators of that discussion, Olivia Troye, former Homeland Security and Counterterrorism Advisor to Vice President Mike Pence. And let me just throw in our good friend, too. So thank you for joining me. Give me your takeaways, Olivia, as you were watching Vice President Harris trying to connect with Republican and independent women in that conversation. What did you think?
You know, I thought it was a very powerful discussion. I saw the audience really be engaged and react to her in a very positive way. I got to tell you, Alex, I met with some of the women afterwards. I got to meet some of them Republicans, former Republicans or independents, Democrats too in the audience. And they were grateful that there was this type of event happening where she was bringing Republicans and moderates together to have these types of conversations. I think it set a good example for what we need to be doing as we go into the November election, because I think this issue is so important. And I think conservative women, they care about it, too. And I think she was very welcoming in this space. And I think that it's important for her to be doing this bridging out of the gap here to welcome them into the fold.
So I'm also going to ask if you heard from any detractors, any skeptics of hers, because it brings me to the question of whether or not you have a sense of who would have a better chance of beating Donald Trump, Kamala Harris or Joe Biden.
You know, right now it's the Biden-Harris ticket, and that's the lane that I've sort of remained in because I feel like we've been on this roller coaster ride for quite some time. And as someone who hates roller coasters, I really just want to get off of it and stay focused on defeating Donald Trump, because that is what's critical for November. But, you know, I think she is incredibly powerful. She's very eloquent, and she's so strong on policies. And I think she's very genuine about how she views a lot of these issues. And so I think she'd make a great candidate. I think she's doing the work that she needs to out there in the campaign field right now while this discussion continues to play out.
How are the Never Trump Republicans reacting to calls for Biden to step aside? Do you think they could totally get behind Harris? And again, this is all hypothetical. We don't know if we're even going to have this conversation officially.
Right. Well, certainly, I think the space is divided, to be honest. I mean, you've seen commentary from a lot of very vocal critics saying Joe Biden has to go for the greater good of the country. And then you've seen those of us who are like, look, whatever the Democrats decide, whatever it is, decide it soon so we can all start rowing in that direction and work together to defeat Donald Trump. I think, look, I think it's an important conversation to be having. But I think the longer that this goes on, the more that this is helping Donald Trump. And so I think that is my biggest worry, is that we are letting time pass instead of focusing on, what we should be focusing on is that the policies, right? The policy work, the things that really matter to Americans, that's what we need to be discussing. And we need to be discussing in a manner that the Biden-Harris administration has been fairly successful. I don't agree with everything, obviously, because I come from a very lifelong Republican background. But he's done a lot of great things for the American people. And I want to get back to focusing on that and really focusing that comparison with the Donald Trump that talks about Hannibal Lecter and sharks and windmills and who knows what we're going to get whenever he speaks, right?
But I'm curious, given your background working in national security during the Trump administration, what went through your mind watching the assassination attempt on the former president last Saturday?
I have to be honest, I was horrified. I was sick to my stomach when I heard the news. I was also just completely shocked at the development of events. I think there's no room for political violence in this country. There shouldn't be. I think this is getting very much out of control. And look, I as someone who gets the threats, it is ugly. And I think we need to get to a better place. But I'm I got to say, just very taken aback about what happened there in terms of the security of the perimeter and how this whole thing developed. And I do think that we need to get to the bottom of it so we can protect our leaders and make sure that we have safe spaces for Americans to attend. I feel awful for the loss of life that happened at that rally.
Yeah, terrible. After the incident, Donald Trump said he was going to deliver a unifying speech at the RNC, but then 15 minutes into a 90-minute speech, he goes off prompter and starts meandering into his usual grievances and false claims. So what does that speech tell you?
I think, what do they say? A tiger doesn't change its stripes. And I think as much as they wanted to paint this as Donald Trump is a changed man, he is who he is. And look, I don't doubt the fact that this was a horrible and traumatic experience for him. It would be frightening for anyone. But I will say this, I mean, his speech started off and went off the rails like it usually does. I was picturing, honestly, Alex, the staff, because we've all been there as someone who worked in the White House. I was just imagining the staff cringing and being like, no, 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 here he goes. Because that's what we used to do behind the scenes, and then sitting there going, shaking our heads. But like, the reality is, the message that came across during that entire week was that it's not the party of unity. It is a party of unifying between an agenda, behind an agenda that suits them, an extreme agenda, right? And I think that is the takeaway. And when you see J.D. Vance and Donald Trump together, I picture, I actually consider him to be a mini-me of Donald Trump. There's no difference between the two of them. I think this is a very dangerous ticket.
Okay, Olivia Troy, see you again soon, my friend. Thank you much.